skinheads. Even the word sounds like a little bit dodgy, doesn't it? Fun fact, there was a band called the Four Skins, like Four Skins, that were a skinhead band. Anyway, that's a terrible intro to the video. Here we are, brief overview of skinhead haircuts. Skinheads. Is it fascist? Is it fashion? Let's talk about that. Before I delve into what you've come here for, which are the variations in skinhead haircuts, we'll just do a brief overview. You can skip past this, I'll put a timestamp here. The skinhead subculture popped up in the UK, in East London, in the late 1960s, taking cues from the mod scene and the Jamaican rude boy scene. One of the standout features of being a skinhead is obviously the haircut, you know, the skinhead. But it's more than just a style, it really represents the working class roots and spirit of the whole subculture itself. And music also plays an undeniable role in shaping this culture. The haircut was often seen as something to accompany the music. It was a whole aesthetic, as the youth now say. So let's go into the significance of the haircut. The skinhead haircut really stood out as a way to push back against the longer, flashier styles that were all the rage in the 1960s. Think the utterly irritating middle-class hippies. Those hippies, in a sense, were the original insufferable hipster type that you get in like Shoreditch. Anyway, shaving their heads helped skinheads show off their identity and set themselves apart from other youth groups. Going for such a bold and tough look was also a way to challenge the norms and expectations of society. For a lot of skinheads, having a shaved head was about feeling empowered. It was their way of getting rid of all the superficial stuff and honing in on what really mattered to them. This haircut became a symbol of the working class struggle, representing a raw and honest connection to their roots. In a world where looks often influence social status, the skinhead haircut was a strong statement of independence and being true to yourself. But then it starts to get a bit ropey. How political can a haircut really be? Very is the answer. As the 1970s went on, Britain's political scene started to change quite a lot, and the skinhead subculture really felt those shifts. The rise of far-right groups and a stronger sense of nationalism created divisions amongst skinheads. Their political beliefs were all over the map, with some leaning towards racist ideas, whilst others stuck to the original values of the movement. Hello, editing Jenny here. I do need to add, whilst I say, oh yeah, skinheads started off non-racist, that's true in some cases, but not in others. I'll put in a clip after me talking here. A lot of skinheads that were so like happy hanging out with Jamaican people really didn't like Pakistani people and would go around bashing for fun. So that's not great. But I don't want to gloss over that part of skinhead history because I don't want to be untrue to it.
Who's your natural enemy?
These ain't so much your enemy, they're just like a pastime, aren't they? Yeah.
What do you mean by
Pakistanis.
You don't like Pakistanis?
No.
It's not their colour, because we like, you know, the Jamaicans are alright. We mix with the Jamaicans, yeah.
We go
So
back
there's a
with a
couple
lot
of
of
it.
Jamaicans.
Yeah.
You like Jamaicans, but you don't
Yeah,
like Pakistanis?
they're all white. I know, we mix in with a load of Jamaicans, got a lot of Jamaican mates. I mean, they don't like Pakistanis either.
The skinhead haircut took on a lot of different meanings in a very short space of time. For those who followed far-right ideologies, a shaved head became a way to push back against what they saw as threats to their identity and lifestyle. It visually represented their beliefs and often led to clashes with rival groups. On the flip side, anti-racist skinheads embraced the same haircut to show their identity whilst distancing themselves from the racist factions. This shared style became a symbol of solidarity for those rejecting the violent side of the movement. This just proves how complex the skinhead identity is, proving that one hairstyle can mean very, very different things depending on who's wearing it. The impact of media representation in the 20th century. How skinheads have been shown in the media make things even more complicated than they already are. So movies and news stories usually highlighted the violent and racist sides of skinhead culture, which reinforced stereotypes and ignored the true diversity within the group. The classic image of the shaved head became linked with aggression and intolerance, all adding to the negative view of the whole subculture. This this misrepresentation often ignored that not all skinheads embraced racist beliefs. Many in the community still celebrated the non-racist roots of the movement, focusing on unity and friendship amongst working class youth. What used to be a symbol of pride and identity turned into a sign of prejudice in the eyes of the mainstream public. Do skinheads still exist? Because I've mostly been talking about the 60s, 70s and 80s here. Yes, they do still exist, and you'll be pleased to hear most aren't actually boneheads, which are bad ones, and instead fall more into the sharp category of things. If you don't know what sharp stands for, it stands for Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice. Let's talk about the variations in the haircuts. Whilst the classic skinhead look is all about rocking a completely shaved head, there have been some different styles that have popped up over the years, especially within the different subtypes and offshoots of skinhead culture. Let's break down some skinhead and skinhead adjacent haircuts. And I'm not going to focus too much on the ideology of the wearers. Starting off, obviously, you've got classic bold, slaphead, skinhead, whatever you want to call it, and that's the original haircut, basically, isn't it? Some female skinheads will go for what's called a Chelsea cut, which is where they keep hair only at the fringe, the back, and sometimes the sides. This style is super practical and easy to take care of, which really fits right in with the no-nonsense vibe of the original subculture. Then before that, the predecessor to the Chelsea cut is called a feather cut, which is a sort of extreme mod cut, again, because skinheads are sort of loosely mods. It's complicated. All these different subcultures are very much intertwined like that, yet a lot of them hate each other. Suede heads. So suede heads were an offshoot of the skinhead scene, but they often dressed a bit differently. They usually had more of a focus on tailoring and smart leather shoes rather than bomber jackets and boots. A lot even actually had white collar jobs rather than blue collar jobs. I'm not talking about the subcultures, I'm talking about hair. So their hair, longer than a skinhead, but usually a buzz cut, think kind of a grade 2-ish, almost always donned with mutton chops. Going on from that, I'm going to talk about bold and sideburns. This is really common in Europe, especially Germany. I remember actually one time when I was working as a teenager, the first barbershop I worked in, this guy come in and shit, you know, he had like 0.5 all over, grade 2 on his like sideburns, and he was wearing like a denim jacket and like really intense Doc Martens, and I was like, what an odd fellow. Yeah, that one weirded me out. Proper Mohicans or Mohawks. Yes, this is more of a punk style, but obviously there's a lot of ties between punks and skinheads. Mohawks are especially popular for skinheads in Slavic regions. I don't know why, but they are. Flat tops. So flat tops are a traditional military haircut, and military styling has always been really popular amongst skinheads. Just look at the bomber jackets and boots and there you go. Flat tops regained popularity with skinheads in Europe in the 1980s, but isn't so much of a popular hairstyle even for non-skinheads now, because if anything, just not many barbers know how to do them. Like, in the entire time I've cut hair, which is nearly 10 years, I think I've had 3 individuals who've asked for flat tops, but it's good to know how to do. Now, lastly, I can't not mention the undercut, especially when it comes to modern day fascism. Modern neo-Nazis love this haircut for 2 primary reasons, both of which being historical. Firstly, back in the 30s and 40s, both the German soldiers and obviously more famously the youth used to wear this haircut. Like, I know a lot of people who would just flat out call an undercut a youth haircut. Secondly, undercuts are popular amongst fascists because of their obsession with Vikings, even though there is literally no evidence that actual Vikings had undercuts. I think that Vikings TV show really made people think that Vikings wore undercuts. Anyway, a lot of Viking and Viking style iconography has been appropriated by neo-Nazis. Like, they love runes, they love all that stuff. Wish they didn't, because the Viking aesthetic's really cool, but you f***ed it for everyone. Cheers, gang. Anyway, that's that video. If there's any haircuts that I've missed, let me know, because obviously I'm not an expert in it. Yeah. Ta-ra.